Would you please give us an update on the status of the development of the new school, and that's the Holy Family School in Coshillen, County Cavan, and if you'll make a statement on the matter? Thank you.
The Deputy will be aware from Deputy Phelan's answer to her last week of the current status of this project. The Stage 2B detailed design report was recently submitted to my department by the Board of Management and its design team. Following receipt of that submission, my department authorised the Board of Management to instruct its design team to commence the pre-qualification process for the assessment of suitably qualified contractors to which the project can be tendered. This authorisation was granted by my department in order to expedite the tender process for the project by running the pre-qualification in tandem with the finalisation stage of 2B. The design team has commenced this process, and the closing date for the e-tenders advertisement was the 19th of June 2017. The design team has informed my department that it expects to complete its assessment of the pre-qualification submissions in the coming weeks and will then submit its report on the shortlist of contractors to my department. Following the examination of the Stage 2B report, it became apparent that the submission was incomplete and some additional items which should have been included in the original submission were requested by my department. A revised submission has been received, which is currently under review. Upon completion of the review of the revised 2B submission, my department will immediately revert to the school with a time frame to proceed to tender and construction stage. The Stage 2B submission is an extremely vital part in the design process and is the final stage prior to the seeking of tenders for the construction of the school building.
Thank you, Minister.
Okay, Minister. So, as you know, in 2015, your department first gave the funding for the Holy Family School and gave its full approval for the building. But as you well know, there's been many delays since that, and it's almost taken 15 years to get to this point. And as you know, the review team did send back their submission to B from the department 5 weeks after it had been submitted originally to say things like that it wasn't labelled, it wasn't in the right order. Minister, I want to ask you, I hope that your department is not seriously going to delay any further progress with this project because of how the submission was made, that it wasn't labelled correctly and all that. I think we have 3 weeks to go for you to come back and approve Stage B, and I'm wondering if you can confirm here to us today that your department will indeed set the approval to proceed with the tender, and that you will confirm and commit that your department will work with the Board of Management to see that we have an approval for a contractor at the end of August. I do not want to be back here asking the same questions in September.
Thank you, Deputy.
Well, I think a number of deputies raised this in the House, and I see indeed Deputy Brendan Smith has a question down on a similar that we will come to shortly. So there is no question that the department isn't aware of the local concern. But I think the deputy, I don't need to tell the deputy that there were a number of things that went that caused a delay that were not in the control of the department. A replacement consultant, mechanical and electrical engineer to the design team, that had to be replaced. The original proposal was different from the current proposal, as you know. It was based on a two-phase construction programme, but it was decided at the request of the school that that should change, and we now have a different proposal which is advancing. The delays in the Stage 2B were caused by omissions which the department require. And they are, I am pleased to say that the problems identified with the first submission have been addressed, but the report obviously has to be fully reviewed, and I can't tell the department. They have to provide objective reviews to make sure that this project, when approved and released to tender, will be constructed in a way that meets the time frame and all the other requirements. So, this process has to be done thoroughly, but there is no doubt in either my mind or that of the building unit of the urgency of this case.
I will take two supplementaries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister, and I do welcome your response here today. I'm delighted that you're here yourself today, unlike last week when you weren't able to be in attendance. I do think it's important, and it's unfortunate we have to raise this again because, as you know, the students there and the staff working there are working in deplorable conditions, is the only way I could describe it. Absolutely deplorable and appalling. And it is unfortunate that we have to raise it so many times in this chamber, but that's what we'll keep doing until we see that this work has progressed. It is one of the most important educational facilities in Cavan Monaghan. As you well know, it is providing education for both primary and secondary. Those parents, I have one particular parent who has had 4 children in his family that have had to go through that school. And as I said, I am not exaggerating when I say their conditions are deplorable. And I really hope that you can work with your department and that your department will work with the Board of Management, that there are no more delays, that this is progressed and proceeded and executed as quickly as possible, and that we have work proceeding and a contractor in place by August.
Thank you. Deputy Supplementary.
I'd like to add my voice to support what Deputy Smith and Deputy Brendan Smith would be saying as well. This is an extremely important issue that's causing a lot of local angst. But what I'd say as well is that this is a common experience of schools. They do find the interface with the department difficult. And that's no disrespect to department officials who are overworked and very, very busy. But schools do find it difficult to communicate and to get things right. And there must be some other way of reaching out to them to help them get submissions right so that things can proceed at a normal pace.
Thank you. And Tara? Final reply.
I can sympathise with what Deputy Byrne says, but I suppose the department is dealing with about 2,000 projects at any given time, and it has to operate on the basis of devolved responsibility, where design teams develop these proposals on behalf of the patron and make submissions. And there is, and I think the decision here to move from a two-stage to a one-stage was the right decision. So the decision that was made, it caused a delay, but it was the correct decision. There are mistakes, if you like, in this process, but I think in this case a correct decision was made, which did cause a delay, but it will mean that there is a fully integrated project completed in one piece for the pupils concerned, and I think that's what we all hope and want to deliver.
Thank you, Minister. Every shot, and Dr. Joan Burton.